Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining us for Superlative Sunday, where we have that bonus match that's in play. Fino versus Bozzzton is our first of 6, however, and we do have some picks in some bans that are into this one right now. That Divine Shield around a class, that's what means a class was protected and ineligible for a ban prior to the match. And so standard stuff that we're seeing, Protect Priest, Shaman banned away from Fino, and Warrior banned away from Bozzzton, as you would have expected looking at the deck lists.
Yeah, it makes sense the way they line up. The Holy Wrath Paladin being on one side is making a potential big deal, big change to the situation. No Warrior for Fino, bans out the Warrior from the opponent because that makes sense when you're not bringing it. But what also makes sense, especially from Fino, who has been very vocal about calling people out, saying, I don't really get why people aren't just protecting Priest and playing the Priest. Like, it's the best deck, it beats everything. You just have to do it. He is a Protect Priest gamer. And he is off to the races and a Priest mirror. Once again, Bozzzton must win this match to still be eligible for a spot in playoffs. If he does, and if you are rooting for Bozzzton, in simple terms, the match you are then looking for is you are looking for Yala to beat Pavel in match 2, and you are looking for Bunny Hopper to beat Ball Control in match number 5. Those are what you care about.
Is someone injured?
Right now, I think that's all Bozzzton cares about.
Just, you can only beat who's put in front of you, and that's what he has to do, step number 1.
Northshire Cleric?
Yeah!
Whew. The follow-up steps seem quite difficult.
They do.
I guess step 1 really seems difficult as well. Like, this thing gets protected pretty darn well.
1-drop coin arms.
That is a beautiful draw for Fino. Yep, that's how I feel too, Bozzzton.
Well, this is another fine mess we've got ourselves into. Hold off, draw silence, play minions next turn, alongside the silence that you draw. You got a better plan?
Psycho Pump next turn?
I mean, yeah, but you draw the silence, and you Psycho Pump and you silence the Cleric. That's how it works.
Okay.
I got you, friend.
I'm not so certain about this one.
I kind of agree with you, yeah. I didn't really like developing minions this turn.
Just take the hit.
Yeah. I think it's easy to say with Cast Division because, I mean, the Cleric just came into hand, which made things different. But...
Well, I don't think Fino plays that Cleric, right?
No, but I was about to follow that point up by saying, like, we're looking at a hand that doesn't just have, like, strong minion development behind this, which is potentially what Bozzzton is scared of. If this second More Arms happens, then he is available to have that silence draw. But if the silence draw happens, he would rather just be able to play Psycho Pump with the guaranteed injured Tolvir in it.
That was my thought on the development, was the Psycho Pump pool. Like, now you've added a 2/3 instead of a 2/6 guaranteed.
Yes.
So I guess the question is, what does the tempo on Fino's side and that development mean for Bozzzton's next turn if he doesn't play into this? And I'm not, again, it's not a criticism. It's just like, my instinct tells me, get the 2/6.
Well, here's what Bozzzton planned for, right? Is that he dealt with the problem he knew about, which was the extra arms that his opponent had in hand. So he knows if he doubles up on the minions here, and his opponent just plays more arms and trades again with the Cleric, then he has the answer to that with the extra arms of his own coming back so he can at least clear board. So this is the out that Bozzzton played to, which I think is a very logical one. It makes a lot of sense. It just changes dramatically based on what Fino's response is on the next turn.
So I guess that would be my question mark for Fino then, is why not Circle of Healing?
Sure.
Avoid getting beat by what just crushed Bozzzton's side.
Sure.
The end.
So the Psycho Pump anyway, what does that mean?
Ooh, misses the 50-50. Hits the Nephicet instead of the Tolvir.
It's not like you can just ignore tempo in the matchup. Like, even if you're just chipping away at the Northshire Cleric, at some point that adds up and it's important.
I mean, entirely to the contrary. I think not only can you not ignore tempo, I think tempo is the most important thing in the matchup.
It just feels tough when you're making like a pure sacrifice for it.
Yeah.
I must consider.
Everyone wants a 2-6 Admirable. How about a lot of cards this turn? Would that cheer you up?
It scares me.
I wonder.
Two Northshires always feels like a way to have something bad happen.
I agree. He does have the opportunity to silence one of them himself, which would be a weird play, but a justifiable one.
I feel like your
In the light's name.
reaction to when I asked you what has to happen for the playoff standings is going to be very adequate today in a lot of spots.
Yes.
I'm okay with just the one.
Agreed. I think this is the responsible line from Fino.
I was thinking that exact same word.
Yeah. There was definitely some cute play syndrome available there where you can, instead of silencing the Nephicet Ritualist, you can trade into it so it comes back injured. You can then have your big card draw turn with the Nausea Cleric and then use your silence to prevent, you know, losing your entire deck to double Cleric on board and Circle of Healing on the other side. But cute play syndrome is about where that ends, I believe. It was adorable looking, not actually good.
I don't know, man. He hasn't been able to kill a minion. He's just been behind every stage.
Yep.
Injured?
Well, step one, he killed a minion.
At what cost? A much larger opposing cleric. So Fino now, I think, is at the stage where he needs to start getting more development in play. Like, I don't think it's about card draw anymore.
Agreed. Several minions with 3 to 4 or more health in play so that you just always have board security against the Pyromancer comeback, which is about all that Bozzzton has at this point. Also developing a lot of power, like attack power in play, so that you can't lose to just Armet minion, minion, minion.
Yeah.
Just not being able to take that stuff off the board. And that looks to be about what Fino did there. He developed just about the max damage he could that turn, puts another 7 health minion in play, so Pyromancer does nothing. Both boxes checked. Very clean looking from Fino, and he gets to do it because he's Priest. We said he doesn't need to draw cards, but he can just do it anyway.
And now Boston's playing the wonderful game of do I die this turn? There's just been so many cards drawn on Fino's side.
Yeah, unfortunately in this one, I think the answer to that was yes on turn 2.
Well, this turn. This turn.
Oh yeah, he died on turn 2. Remember the conversation about this is lethal that we had yesterday?
This is one of those things where like you're in that state where everything you see is imagination.
Yeah.
My hand is too full.
Oh no! How are we ever going to win without that Acolyte of Pain?
Burning a card is terrible for you. You can tell I'm not being facetious from the tone of my voice.
18, 23, 25. Am I missing any cards? That's a silence over on the far left, correct? Hidden down in the corner?
Yes.
So he has 9 on the Blade Master, 18 on the Blade Master, 23, 25 this turn, yeah.
Can also just kill every minion. Sounds like lethal to me. The matchup snowballs so quickly.
Yep. Crucial opener from Fino. Cleric into Coin Arms is one of the most dangerous things in the matchup. One of the best draws that you have on the coin, alongside like Pyro Topsy-Turvy is nuts in certain situations on the coin. Also, like Cleric Inner Fire going first. Some of the game-winning hands. Bozzzton did have some opportunities to respond, it's just the plays did not quite line up for him.
Yeah, and I think Fino going for it here, he has very loud and clearly gotten the signal that Bozzzton did not have a silence.
Yep. There's a single copy in Boston's deck.
And notice that there is a 5/7 cleric starting on his board going into turn 6. That's 6 turns without silence. You better draw the silence.
Yep. And there's only one of them that you can draw.
Is someone injured?
Still the cleric, by the way. Almost all of the card draw from Bozzzton has been by bolstering Fino's position. Hey! Just in case you wanted to hang around a little bit longer and get tortured by the game. It's like, here's a shred of hope.
I mean, it's just still a 4/7 after you silence it as well. Let's not forget about that.
Sometimes you just get got.
Yeah. If you injure it first, maybe you'll convince the game to bug and make it a 4/3 after you silence it. It's just not how Hearthstone works.
It's typically tough, I'd say, to convince programs of your emotional state. You're like, please, I need this.
The end begins. Life is an afterthought.
Hey, I got you, friend.
The only thing Fino can do now to throw this one away, really, is play this second Northshire Cleric. As long as that does not happen, Bozzzton does not have a great deal of agency.
Well, I got bad news then.
He didn't play it.
Game 1 over to Fino. Very early snowball, stranglehold throughout.
And that is, so far, the worst timeline for Bozzzton. His equation is very, very simple. He just needs to win, and so far he is not doing so. Fino is a Protect Priest, Q Priest gamer, and you can see why based on that first game.
Because it's Priest. It's very powerful.
You can see why in any game that Priest plays, because it's Priest.
The talking point for me is still just that it's about aggression for Fino. Anytime he has a deck that can get aggressive, that's where he shows his strength. And yesterday that was very demonstrated in a Druid Mirror match he had as well, where towards the end it just had an aggressive line throughout. And despite the fact that he was tremendously down in resources, he had the damage to follow up on an endgame situation.
Yep, navigated very, very well through like a last battle for resources, a fatigue situation, but did get himself to that position by recognizing that he was aggressor in the matchup and taking that role on very, very well. The Priest Mirror is somewhat different. Like, he played a cleric, his opponent didn't. He had coin extra arms. Like, of course you're the aggressor in that scenario. You just go for it. The talking point for me, like turn 2 and turn 3 from Bozzzton, like the decisions he made there. We had Caster Vision on like a very minion light hand at that time from Fino. So if that cleric had got shut down, potentially there would have been a dead draw or two from Fino and things could have been different. But that's 100% a Caster Vision call. Like, you know, Bozzzton had justifiable lines in his position, I think, and he was considering certain hands that Fino might have that his plays were better against. And Priest Mirrors are tough, and when you get coin extra arms and lose your minion, you're fighting from behind no matter what you do.
You make a call, and if it doesn't go your way, that's typically the tipping point.
Yep.
It's like the straw that broke the camel's back, except it's like a 300-pound weight instantaneously that did it. So we got to go to a quick break. When we come back, we're jumping back into game number 2 of this set. Fino taking on Bozzzton this one. Bozzzton, if he wants playoff hopes, has to win the next 2 games. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to Around the Fern. I'm Nathan Zamora. That's Admirable, you can call me, and I'm joined today by a very special player. Please state your name.
Christos Tsakopoulos.
I thought it was Fino. Like, I've always called you Fino at tournament.
Well, yeah, people call me Fino, Feno, Fenomeno, whatever you want to
Okay,
go
well,
with.
I think you need to pick one of them, though. It's not just Fenomeno or Fino.
Let's go with Feno.
Feno.
Yeah,
okay. You're happy with that?
Mm-hmm. I think it will be easier for you.
So where are you living right now, and what's that like? What's that like for you in Hearthstone?
Yeah, now I'm just living in Greece with my parents. We have a really big apartment, and on the first floor, there's like a movie theater that my dad
Like a
operates.
movie like you guys make movies there?
No, there's no movie making in the movie theaters. You just show the movie.
So like you just show them other
yes,
people?
People come and they can watch the movie in the movie theater.
But you don't make them.
No, we don't make them. We get the movie and we show the movie in the
I
theater.
thought the whole point of the movie...
Just sell tickets, we don't make movies, and people come and watch the movie.
Okay. Well, I get. Let's just agree to disagree on that. Fenomeno, Fino, Feno, whatever you want to call it.
I'm done.
But we're in an interview.
My name is Elias Sibelius and I go under Bozzzton. My username actually comes from my cat. His name is Bozzzton, so I just took that and made it a bit cooler with the triple Z. So yeah, shout out to him. When I got the confirmation that I was in Grandmaster, I was overwhelmed by emotions. Even though I haven't had the first place big tournament win, they actually appreciate that consistency and what I've been working for the last couple of years. I'm very good at focusing on a specific thing and keeping myself ready for the situation. Yeah, and my games and stuff like that. My favorite memory is still my first DreamHack. I remember facing Super JJ. I was a total newcomer, so it was very big for me to just be there and just realizing that I could actually beat all these players, and it was very cool. My personal goals for this year is I want to qualify for the playoff. Of course, I want to go to the global finals. That's, I think, everyone's goal, but I want to be one of the best players. I will try my best to get there, for sure.
The shadows are rising again, darker than they've ever been. As evil descends from the skies, the world cries out, how will we survive? Out of the hall of explorers, and up from the dusty tombs, they grab their whips and fedoras. These legends of the past know exactly what to do. There might be magic monsters, mummies in the markets, and ancient mysticism. There should be scorching deserts, adventure, monster of narcissism. High stakes think annihilation, obliteration of civilization. Now is the time to be brave. Evil's come to enslave, but this league's gonna save the world.
Welcome back to Hearthstone Grandmasters for Europe. It's Superlative Sunday here, where we have a 6th bonus match that's in play. I'm Nathan, that's Admirable Zamora, joined by Simon Saddle-Welch. And right now, Bozzzton does not have the lead over Fino. I was about to say that, and I caught myself where I did the thing where my deck lists are not in the spot where I necessarily want them to be. Fino's up 1-0 over Bozzzton right now. And for Bozzzton, if he wants to make it to playoffs, he has to win the next 2 games.
He does, yeah. So he still has the Priest available, which I believe is what he's going to go into queue now, and he has potential favorables with it, which makes sense from his perspective. I believe Fino is going to queue the Druid, which is a very, very strong matchup for the Priest. Druid does have some game here. It does usually involve them skipping multiple quest turns sometimes to be able to answer the Priest minions as they come down, but it is a favorable matchup for the Priest, so Bozzzton will feel fairly comfortable here in squaring this series up at the very least. Keep that Armet. That is the card that gets you there the most often against Druid. But Bozzzton shakes his head. He's not happy with the friends that have come to accompany Armet in this one.
It's definitely a bit of a shaky hand. I'm a bit more interested.
I am also now excited by this curve. There are not many curves that involve nothing, nothing that win the game, but nothing, nothing coin Armet Psychopomp is certainly one of them.
I guess here's my question, right? How often is the Armet dying if you coin it?
If it doesn't, by then your plan is to have drawn other minions to go with it anyway, and even if you haven't, then you just play the Beaming Psychic and the Nephicet Ritualist and just say, all right, 7 health minions.
Just curious if there is any merit to throwing a minion into the pool early on?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Fino thinking about, well, hang on, this is a priest, and I can just be ahead on board right now. That's exciting.
Well, the quest I don't think is the important part. If you have the liberty to try and complete it, that's a different story.
Yeah. I think because he has the Wrath, like the reason you play the Zephyrus and skip the quest is to challenge an injured Tolvir coming down this turn from Bozzzton, right? So since he has the Wrath in hand to be able to do that anyway, the Zephyrus makes a lot less
In the
sense.
light's name. Hey, I got you, friend.
Bozzzton presents a board that Fino is likely to not want to Wrath, which is kind of interesting. And Fino draws the Crystal Merchant, so now the Armet curve is on.
There's some classes where I feel like drawing Divine Spirit is like, not yet. And there's some classes where I'm like, oh yeah!
And I think Druid is one of the latter in most regards, but with this hand, I'm not sure if Divine Spirit is coming down just yet. I was still interested in this pass into Coin Armet plan as well from Bozzzton's side.
I kind of like playing stuff.
Yeah, I think he set up a nice board in that it wasn't really something that Fino would have wanted to contest and kill with a minion.
So what's Bozzzton? Is he thinking about the Nephroset Ritualist here? Like a bump heal into trade? Yeah, I can't imagine.
I agree.
I think it's worth exploring. And when you get down to the nitty-gritty of it, you play the Armet. Now, the question after that would be the topsy-turvy on the Crystal Merchant. Like, how badly do you want to deny card draw versus lose partially an out to be able to end the game quicker?
Yes. Pokes with the Light Warden.
Sets up the Ritualist.
If Fino wants to Wrath anyway, I'm happy with that because I have Psychopomp for the following turn.
What to do?
I think this is the right call from Melody.
Yep.
You
Poison
just
Man.
gotta hope.
Weak to Pyromancer. It's going to be weak to the fact that there's going to be multiple 7 health minions on the board this turn as well, but it's better than nothing, certainly, if there's no Pyromancer coming out.
Well, he doesn't give Bozzzton a minion kill, so Psychopomp isn't going to happen. If Bozzdon's going to get multiple 7 healths in play, one of them's going to be Armet, the other one's going to be a Thing. Unless it's 2 minions from hand, which I think, given the way that Bozzzton has played this, that 2 minions is a bit less likely.
It's a bit less likely, sure, but still just based on the way that the curve is built in the Priest deck, it's still incredibly possible. But again, like Fino just doesn't have better options here.
Yeah.
Like Lotier's 1/2 poison is just a thing that you do in the matchup.
If only you could kill these little middle minions. You can VT with the Lodi. Still 0 minions in the pool for Bozzzton, which means if Armet is the first one to die, Psychopomp is right away.
Yep.
So priority number 2 for Fino is make sure you get rid of something else as well.
Priority number 1 is just don't be dead this turn.
Honestly, the more I look at it, if Fino had played that Zephyrus, I think he might have had a real fighting chance this game. Like, if he would have just completely foregone quest progress, a lot of this minion pressure would have been able to be picked off.
I struggle to reconcile boards. But, like, I tend to agree with you in this one fringe case, but I think, Fino not seeing his opponent's hand top-down scenario said, what's my opponent's likely play next turn? It's injured Tolvir. I have Wrath in my hand. So
yeah.
I just don't need this 3-2. I think he took a very reasonable line from his perspective, but I think it's a good point to raise.
It's not about, for me, like saying, oh, you should be contesting the board with your Zephyrus on turn 2. It's like, in this one particular game, it might have worked.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to me.
Yep.
It's fun to me that the right play sometimes yields the wrong result.
Correct. It's just how percentages work. It's one of the hardest things about improving as a Hearthstone player is that just thinking about, oh, I made this play and it won the game, therefore I will do the thing next time. Like, that's not the right way to think about it. It's, you know, I made this play, even if I won, let me think about whether it was correct. Oh, I made this play and I lost. Let me think about whether it was still correct. Like, the result doesn't really factor into it. It's the result on average over an enormous number of iterations.
Yeah. I got an iteration for you here. Let's draw 4 cards.
Sorry, the way you've been using that phrase recently off camera was very different to the way you just used it on camera.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Twitch chat knows. Well, well, well. That is 13 from the Light Warden, 15, 16 currently. It will be plus 13 more on the Northshire Cleric if the Inner Fire is found. Actually has Topsy already.
You pretty much just Inner Fire. Imagine beating a 13-13 as Druid this early. It's just not how it works.
Was that lethal somehow? Could have Topsied the Nephicet for 2 more. Was there 1 extra damage somewhere?
It's looking like lethal to me. Like, how do you lose? Well, I guess that the loading plus a spell would be how.
Yes.
But you're still going to have a minion stick.
Yeah, Loti, value trade the 2/4, Wrath the Light Warden. They don't have silence. That's how you lose, right? Fortunately, it's not the world we're in. Fortunately for Bozzzton's side, anyway.
Well, it's silence or it's Topsy, right? So you could either run into the Cleric or you could bump the 2/4 with the Lodi.
Yes, sure. Yeah, choosing which card you want to play around. Yeah, that makes sense.
What?
You lose to like second Inner Fire and extra arms and stuff the other way around as well.
Yeah.
So I think,
You get a card draw if they keep the Cleric, though.
yeah, that's also fair. I think doing it the silence way makes sense to me. Willing to be wrong on the maths on that one, though. Fino agrees.
Well, pick your poison. Game 3.
He did pick the poison, and he picked taunt, and he picked rush, and he picked spell damage. None of it matters.
You picked up exactly what I was putting down.
Bozzzton squares it up. 1 game to 1. Priest picks up their customary 2 wins in the series. Bozzzton picks up his glass of water, staying hydrated. Hydration bot working overtime. It's going to come down to a crucial decider now between the non-priest decks between these 2 players.
Yeah, so that's going to be Paladin and Druid on Fino side and Shaman and Druid on Bozzzton side. And so for me, this spells pretty clearly that Fino will be on Druid. And so for Bozzzton, it's take your pick at that point. For Fino, I think that queuing up the Paladin is potentially a poor idea. There are 2 copies of Ferocious Howl on Bozzzton's side with the Druid, and against Shaman, just so my opinion of the matchup has the edge has shortened tremendously in my mind.
Okay.
That hasn't necessarily been the case. We've still been seeing players be able to execute endgame Paladin lines. But on Fino's side, if there's a chance that he's going towards Paladin, like Bozzzton's queuing up Druid, and that's pretty much that. As far as the Druid lists are concerned on each side, it's pretty darn even. I would say there's not like a giant endgame tech with a Chef Nomi that can crack the matchup wide open. There is a Power of the Wild in Fino's deck, so a bit more aggressive potential, and we saw him even overcome the Nomi list yesterday. So for Bozzzton here, I feel like he's going to be queuing up the Druid the majority of the time. I think it just gives him a better situation overall.
Yeah, I would be inclined to agree with that.
That being said, he's been playing Shaman a ton. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
He has, and we will see just really like where the mind games end up. And again, opinions on the Shaman Druid matchup will influence that as well.
Yes.
That is a point of disagreement between a lot of players. And you were right to catch that last second point of analysis and say that Bozzzton has been favoring his Shaman a great deal. He does choose to go with the Shaman here. And I was going to go down that path as well because he does have Witchwood Piper. He does have double Former Champ. He doesn't have any Spell Ward Jewelers, for example, that would make this matchup a hell of a lot worse because it's not Malagos Druid. So he does have about the best possible Shaman list to fight this matchup. So I'm not overtly surprised to see him queuing Shaman into Druid.
That's weird. What's the ideal lackey there? Is it that one, actually?
Faceless, probably. I think Faceless is fine, Titanic is fine, Evolve is fine, because you just have a Mogu in hand and you're going to set it up at some point anyway.
Yeah, I was thinking the Faceless specifically for the times that Fino's on like turn 3 hero power. Like he gets to pick off a lackey. I know it's like something super nominal. But as a 2-3 taunt, like eventually that has to be the first one attacked into. So even if like there's Crystal Merchant, if Lodi's going to be one of Fino's first minions, if Bozzzton can go wide enough to where he has one big thing vulnerable to Oasis Surger, that 2-3's block in the front.
Bozzzton says, totem up, take your Crystal Merchant. I will take my Mogu Flesh Shaper turn, thank you very much. Now gets the payoff.
Excuse me, totem up Mogu Flesh Shaper turn?
Sandstorm Elemental Mogu Flesh Shaper turn if you wanted to.
Mortals are so squishy.
The amount of health on this 8-drop is such a huge factor in the matchup. That's the good one. 8 or above is the amount of health you are looking for.
Yep.
The difference between 7 and 8 is a massive deal in the matchup.
Lackey not to be ignored as the resummon from Katarina Muerte. Barista Lynchins in hand. Look at on-curve Barista. How often have you seen this in Shaman?
Yeah, and this is, I think, the big reason why we saw Totem instead of the Sandstorm Elemental, is so that he did not overload for this big turn, and this is a juicy Barista Lynchin here.
It just doesn't get better than that, really.
Mind Control tech on the other side for Fino, though. That's the tech he's chosen to include this week. Might just give him a chance. Chance is something he sorely needs right now.
I'm looking at one minion in particular.
Can you say it for me one more time in that beautiful accent?
I don't feel confident again. I was feeling it in that moment.
All right, fair
and
enough.
I went for it.
Fair enough, fair enough.
I think I did a pretty good job.
That Mexican heritage coming through.
Partial, yes.
Yeah. Just gonna do the bit where I forget where you come from again, but eh.
So Fina's going to tank the damage for a turn. Is he looking at maybe flooping the MCT? Or is it MCT Starfall in the same turn? Ow. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's a problem, right? Like, even double MCT, how often does that really keep him alive? Not very.
He's got to steal Katrina, I think.
So he's looking at MCT, Starfall, a Nubasath Defender in the same turn? No, he's just going to double taunt up.
You're going to have more turns for MCT, that's for sure.
Floop not being played if he's doing it this way. Doesn't want to play into the mind control tech on the opposing side. Makes sense. This is the #1 way that you can lose the matchup as Druid, is if they build a board and you just have to develop into it and they just MCT you and push. That sucks.
For whatever reason, I keep forgetting that Hidden Oasis heals you for 12. I don't know why I keep forgetting this. I guess because it's a 6/6 taunt.
Bozzzton starting to make that Katrina a very attractive steal on the other side.
Squishy.
Fino himself puts some big taunt minions in his res pool, so if he does end up MCTing this Katrina, he's kind of in business.
Wow.
Bozzzton found that line very quickly.
What a turn.
Yeah, he found that line very, very quickly and executed it pretty nicely.
The times I've always done things similar to this, I see that something's there and I go piece by piece. His was just very clear, like, do this thing, then do this thing, then do this thing, so on and so forth.
And then this is where my quest activates, and I have exactly 4 left for the Consecration Sandstorm Elemental.
Yeah, it's very clear as this season's moved on that he's picked up a lot of practice with this deck.
Yeah.
And is very fluid with it, like super confident, and I love to see that because I think that Shaman's one of the more difficult decks to play due to nuance. And as you learn that nuance, it unlocks some potential for the deck. Now, granted, this game, it was like Mogu Mutate. Have a ball. But when you get to these kind of board positions, it's important to capitalize because you're still fairly fragile. Like, a lot of your stuff is just weak minions.
Right.
I wonder.
This Katrina does look like a potential game-winning steal for Fino in this spot, though.
Time waits for no one.
Is that a better chance?
Floaty Starfall is now 9+3, which gives him the full clear.
Bozzdton's reaction to it was not comfort.
Nope.
But this is what a pair of former champs is for.
Only 6 mana this turn, though, for Bozzdton.
Well, what do you do with 6 mana?
Spend it.
On
Cards.
or card. That offers lethal draws next turn. Fino's got some fight in him, though. Thinking Ferocious Howl. Thinking Hidden Oasis.
That one's not active.
Let's draw some more then.
It's also just play minions so that Scenarius can start to race Bozzdton if he doesn't have answers.
Natural load he picked up. Questing Explorer at the worst time.
The biggest brick in the deck at this point. Lackey Generators.
He's playing it too.
Witchwood Piper to find himself Lackey Generators. Second Life Drinker for lethal. Shudderwock for lethal. All of those things were possible, and Questing Explorer was not what Bozzdton wants in this scenario. And now look at this moment of pause from Bozzdton. As mentioned, his playoff hopes hinged largely from his perspective on himself winning this matchup. And this one decision, whether or not to get Mind Control teched in this spot,
Of course it's the right way.
this could be what it comes down to.
I think I like the 2/3 because if you're getting Mind Control teched here, it means you're not getting Scenariused.
Excellent point.
That sounds like a great deal to me.
Still no healing in hand for Fino.
What is he missing to activate this?
TC-130 until dislocate.
Steals a 5/5.
Takes metal.
Oh, that's huge.
Bozzdton praying. Lackey's Life Drinker, Shudderwock. Something that deals direct damage to his opponent. There it is. Kobold Lackey, Spell Lackey for damage. One of the two.
Misses.
Sandstorm can buy him time here.
Is there any like weird residual damage from like a Death Rattle minion or something that you can evolve into?
End of turn 2 damage on the totem thing, but that's not good enough.
That would be a 0 to a 2.
Yeah.
Like he's going 2 to 4 or 1 to 3.
Yep.
Or I suppose 5 to 7. Baron Gen's only 2. I was like 5 to 7.
I wonder.
I can't think of a direct out.
Float like a butterfly.
Sting like a bee.
This has to defend him. 12 plus 8. Fino's 1 damage off lethal.
Still doesn't have his Howl. Still doesn't have his Zephyrus Elise active. Either of those draws, like an active Zephyrus ends the game here. even without lethal, it would just be the healing that Fino would need to get over the line.
So do you draw a card in Starfall, or do you Cenarius and say, you figure it out?
I feel like I want to draw the card.
There's a Hidden Oasis. There's a Ferocious Owl left.
If you draw
I'm sorry. There's only one. There's one Ferocious Owl in the deck.
one Ferocious Owl in the deck.
It's been used.
Oh, okay.
So it's a 1 and 6 on the Hidden Oasis.
To draw the active Zephyrus card?
Well, the Hidden Oasis is just in the deck. The active Zephyrus card is Oasis Surger.
Time waits for no one.
So I think you're supposed to draw the card in Fino's spot, see if you hit Jin. If you don't, clear the board. Cenarius there next turn. And Fino, he's like, I cannot believe this. We're just both slogging around so close to winning.
Yep.
One more draw for Bozzzton. Not it. The Evolve has to protect him, or the game ends. Wait, he can Bog Slusher the Sandstorm and clear off. Not enough.
Not enough. Can he evolve into something to then slosh back to his hand to deal damage to face?
You could upgrade the Sandstorm into a Life Drinker. Would that be enough mana?
2, 4, 5. No, you couldn't replay the Life Drinker.
You don't have to hit the button, right?
Well, you do if you're going to turn a 2-drop into a 4-drop.
Golly, there's so much. So there's a 3-drop that does it? What's the Arcane Missiles guy that shoots 3 Arcane Missiles?
Ooh, okay. All right. SI7?
That's a combo effect.
Right, but it'd be the last thing you did on the turn.
Little time.
But
it's still too much mana. I say if you pressed the button, then double SI7 would deal enough damage, but it's still way too much mana.
Not it. So try to defend yourself. Oh!
No.
No,
Not close.
not close. I just saw Taunt and got excited.
Yeah.
Well,
Unfortunately for Bozzzton, that has now simplified a great deal of these results, because every complex tiebreaker scenario that we got into started with him winning that matchup against Fino. Since he did not do so, I believe that now means that Casey and Pavel are the 2 other qualified players from that division in terms of making playoffs, and they now fight it out just for 4th place.
God, I just can't think about the end of that game where it was every single draw was so important for each player, and they just kept bricking.
He even got teased. He got teased with the cable rat, where it was shoot lackey for lethal, it was spell lackey to find lightning bolts and whatever else that would have got him over the line. He just whiffed on all of it. Witchwood Piper to pull more out. Life Drinker off the top was lethal. Shudderwock off the top was lethal because 1 Life Drinker was already played.
And on Fino's side, the one missing damage that would have closed the game so much sooner, the Hidden Oasis that's still tucked in the deck, the Oasis Surgers that won't come out to activate Zephyrus. It's just like every single draw was so important at the end.
Yeah, I had it backwards. I thought he'd used both Hidden Oasis and he still had the Howl left in his deck. But either way, it was just like a burst of healing that he needed to end.
Yeah.
When he got down to that point, like even if he got the Oasis Surger, the Zephyrus could have been used for healing earlier in the game to secure him in that position. In that spot, if he'd have drawn the Oasis Surger, then just Savage Roar or whatever from Zephyrus was lethal on the board anyway, so it just ends the game immediately. Both players were just really dragging that one out to the wire, but unfortunately for Bozzzton, he is going to miss out on playoffs due to that defeat to Fino.
So let's go ahead and talk to Fino himself. Fino, can you hear us?
Yeah, hello guys.
Well, hello, Fino, and a win here over Bozzzton means that you have dream crushed for him at the final point of this one. So, I guess, how does that make you feel?
Like today, I logged in Hearthstone and I get a whisper from my boy Casey, and he's like, "You can't lose because there's like a chance that me and Bozzzton can tie." Blah blah blah. I don't remember the rest because I didn't care, and I'm like, "There's no way I'm losing, so you're good."
Oh, just in perfect Fino fashion.
We care.
Yeah.
I put hours into that to tell Casey that there was a draw possible, and then he sends it to you and you just don't care, Fino? What kind of BM is that?
Dude, I was like, I mean, you know, I feel like I told him that I don't really care about this game, and he was like, whoa, wait, hold on, you need to care, because like because it matters for me. I'm like, don't you worry, I play better when I don't care. And I don't know, the wins has come.
I mean, let's pick up on that point then. Obviously, like, your record has improved towards the end of the season. Do you kind of put those things together when, like, you kind of had already, like, mentally accepted relegation? You started playing better because you were less nervous, less worried about the situation?
I was never nervous. That like I feel like I might have been nervous like one time this whole like season. Let's say I don't remember, but it was like somewhere in the mid season. But other than that, I don't really get nervous. But you know, I do get sad. That's the one thing. But now I'm done with that. It's been a while, and you know, just looking forward to new stuff. Looking forward to the new expansion. Not expansion. The new cards. I mean, and yeah, just try to play as much Hearthstone as I can, so I can be in good shape for Bucharest and Worlds, because that's the only thing that matters right now, right?
Yeah, and so let's talk about that. You know, we have new patch, we
Yeah.
have Bucharest that's coming up, and we have the global finals that are happening there. How is your travel and such going to be working for that? You know, you're not traveling to tour stops all the time like you were in 2018. What's life been like with this very different schedule you've had this year?
I mean, I still travel a lot. I definitely don't travel as much as I did last year, but I mean, this year I also travel, you know, like, because I have more free time now because of there aren't that many tour stops anymore. So I also take vacations when I travel. But for now, I'm gonna stay in Greece for a while because I got, you know, everyone coming over here, like Hunter Ace, Orange, Mazi Saiyan, and Frozen are coming, and Tyler. And we're gonna stay here for a bit, you know, like discuss decks. They will play their playoffs from here. Like, this would be a meme that like everyone would be a grandmaster except me. But I'm so sad that Orange might also miss out. It's the one thing that I'm stressed about right now, that I just want Switch to lose terribly so Orange can survive, you know?
Well,
Yeah.
since this is pretty much going to be your exit interview from Grandmasters, Fino, is there anything you want to say to your fans or to the viewers, or just about the experience as a whole?
I mean, I didn't play as well as I could this season, but then again, because like I'm very critical of myself, and there are a lot of people, all the people in my playtest group are very critical of themselves, and you don't see it that much from other players. They tend to like blame luck and all that, and you know, no one plays well. To be honest, that might sound weird, but the only people that I've seen that play like really well, and the only people that deserve for sure to be where they are, is Bunny and Hunter is. Other than that, I'm not impressed by anyone. I'm not gonna lie. So, you know, it happened to me. I didn't play well. I definitely didn't deserve to be on top. I had a bad break. I had some bad luck. I missed like a confirmed win against Casey because of like I didn't click something, you know, and a bunch of things didn't go my way. Yarla's power went down last week, and Seiko got a free win, and his tiebreaker skyrocketed. So I don't even have a chance now. You know, a lot of things didn't go my way. I didn't play perfectly. No one plays perfectly. I tried my best. It wasn't enough, but you know, life goes on. There's still Worlds, and I still love this game. So hopefully, I'll do my best to prove myself there.
You can always just win Bucharest too.
Yeah, that works too.
Yeah, you got top 8
Sure.
at the Master Tour in Vegas.
Yeah, also, yeah, it's best of 5. So I think a well-known player and like maybe a grandmaster even will for sure win Bucharest, because I feel like best of 5 with multiple decks that you actually need to have a range of decks that you actually know how to play is gonna be really, really good for competition. Because, you know, I mean, as much as I didn't hate specialists, like one deck, you know, like one person might just be able to play one deck, and then they just play that one deck, and then it doesn't matter if you are like way better than them in 3 other decks. You know, it all of that goes out of the window. So I feel it's gonna be way better, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, all right, Fino. I think this was it's always a lot of fun to talk to you, and that's one of the things that always brightens my day about this. You struck a chord with me yesterday when you said you guys feel more sad than I do about it, because honestly, brother, that just might be true, but you cheer me up every single time. It was wonderful to have you here, Fino. You can still win Bucharest. You still got global finals coming up, so I can't wait to see you play some more.
Yeah, thank you for everything, guys. Good luck.